Hey, this is Ron Larson. Welcome to Surge Leadership. This is a little 15-minute talk each week that we bring to you to help you advance and accelerate your leadership abilities and capabilities, and maybe give you some things you can pass on to others. So just join with me today. Take some notes, rehearse this stuff in your spirit, get it down in your heart. More than anything else, implement it. This is a call to action. This is really about what you need to do rather than what you need to think. Now, I want to talk to you today about unloading what doesn't need to be on your leadership boat. One of the things I used to do in Baltimore, and which I loved, was to sit out in the port, talking with some buddies, drinking a good cup of coffee, and watch the big container ships come into the port of Baltimore. These ships were loaded with massive containers. I mean, hundreds and hundreds. It amazed your mind. The sheer size of the ship blocked the horizon. What they unloaded off these ships, though, was more important than what they put on. I want you to hear me say that again. What they unloaded off these big container ships was more important than what they loaded on. Because you can't load something on that isn't first taken off. Now that's true of container ships. It's also true of your leadership, because we all get, don't we, these thoughts in our mind that are not helpful. These things from the past that keeps us from experiencing good things in the present. We've all got these fears and suspicions and little criticisms that are rolling around in our head that get placed upon the deck of our ship. And pretty soon they begin to limit, they weigh down our ability to move forward at the speed of God. So I want to talk to you about 6 things to unload off your leadership boat by allowing the Holy Spirit to remove those things so that He can add on what really needs to be there. Here's the first one. Unload intention without implementation. Unload intention without implementation. Here's a great statement for you. Wishes never create wins. I mean, your staff aren't sitting around saying, hey, we remember what you wish to do. we want to talk about what we wanted to do, because those things don't do anything. All we rehearse, all we remember, all we celebrate are the things that are actually done. So in your daily action plan as a leader, here's some things that I just kind of go through. There are 5 Ds. I'm a guy that likes alliteration, so let me just share them with you that help me keep on the implementation track. Because I don't want to go and rehearse in my mind about what I should have done or what I could have been doing. I want to talk about what I'm actually doing. So here's the first thing. It's the word define. Define what specifically needs to be done. And leaders, one of the things we do with our people that work with us, whether they're a volunteer or a staff member that is paid, is this. Many times we are not clear. We want to give the vision. I'm a visionary guy. I like to talk in big pictures. But getting down to little brush strokes, the little fine lines. I mean, I'll draw the face. I just don't want to put the eyes and the nose and the mouth and the little wrinkles on the face. That's just not my cup of tea. But what I realize is when I don't fill in the blanks, when I'm not clear, people really don't know what to do. And then I get frustrated because they're not doing what I asked them to do because I wasn't clear in the beginning. So define what specifically, exactly needs to be done. Here's the second D, do. What are the specific action plans that I'm going to implement? Write them down in clear statements. Today, I am going to, and then fill in the blank. These are specific, concrete, measurable things that you're actually going to do. And then here's number 3, date them. When am I going to do that action plan? Is it today? Is it tomorrow? Is it next week? Is it next month? Specifically, write down in your schedule what it is that are the action plans dated when they're going to be done by. Here's the 4th thing, delegate. Who do I need to recruit to help me pull this off? And many times what we do is we delegate and we abdicate. What I mean by that is this. We'll say, hey, Ben, I need you to do this. But then we don't go back and check on whether or not it was done. We're going to talk about that in point number 2 in just a moment. So who do I need to be able to pull off what it is that needs to be done? And then 5thly, distance. What distractions do I need to distance myself from in order to carry out what needs to be done? With me, hey, it's a cell phone. I carry it in my pocket most of the time, and I'm constantly looking at it, and then I'll start scrolling through Facebook feed and looking at what all my buddies are doing. And pretty soon, the 15 minutes that I was on the phone, even the 5 minutes I was on the phone, have distracted me from staying concentrated on the task at hand. So what distractions do I need to remove? One of the things that I do as a pastor is I use the mornings to study for my messages. and I keep all distracted. I don't turn on my computer. I try to keep my phone on vibrate to make sure that my mind is set clearly on the action that I need to accomplish. That is, it's Sunday. It's Friday and Sunday's coming, and I need to get this thing done. So here's the second thing that we need to unload off of our leadership boat. Unload assignments without names attached. Someday we will. Somebody needs to. Sometime we should. Those are things that are stated as well-intentioned actions that need to be taken. But if you don't assign somebody, if you don't have an activator that's actually going to carry that out, it'll never get done because somebody is nobody. So when you're in a meeting, when you're assigning out tasks, make sure that the person that the action plan that you want to undertake, make sure there is a person attached, a specific name attached to that task that will carry it out, and they understand that it's their responsibility. Don't just say, hey, we should be doing. We need to say, Susie, I need you to. Ben, I need you to. This is assigning this whole idea of just really assigning responsibility. That's the best way to put it. And then checking up on that responsibility on a regular basis to make sure that it's done. Because what you don't inspect, you cannot expect. You ought to write that down. What you don't inspect, you cannot expect. Because most of the time, if you're not inspecting, people are not doing it. Here's the third thing that needs to be unloaded. Unload the need to be liked by everybody around you. Oh, this is a tough one. I'm a people pleaser. I love people to like me. I want people to respect me. I want people to enjoy being around me. But there's just sometimes you can't please certain individuals or groups. No matter what you could be Jesus. And Jesus even had people that didn't like him. And you're going to have people around you that simply are not going to. It's not a matter of agreement. They just don't like you. And if you live your life on the basis of trying to please everybody that is around you, you're going to wind up not pleasing the one that really matters. That is God who created you, the one that gave you the destiny, the one that called you to this task. So you can't. Now, that doesn't mean that you just, you're the dictator and everything goes and every order is followed and everybody's got to salute when they walk in your office. We're not talking about that. But what we're talking about is what I often call, in my terms, a benevolent dictatorship. There's certain things that need to be done. Here's who's going to do it. I'm going to inspect what I expect. And I realize some of you are not going to like this. My grandkids don't like taking a bath after they played outside. They don't like eating the broccoli that I put in front of them. They want to eat ice cream for breakfast. But as a leader of them, wanting them to grow up right, I need to make them do things they don't want to do. And that's what leaders do. If there's any definition about leadership, is this. Leaders often lead people, make people, call people, compel people to do things they really don't want to do. And if you're not doing that, you're not leading. So give up the need to be liked by everyone around you. Here's number 4. Unload blaming and increase blessing. There's always somebody that's not doing what is right. There's always somebody around you that should be doing what they should be doing, but they're not doing it in the right way. There's always somebody around you that you could blame for what didn't go right. And while you can't take the blame for everything, because you can't be everywhere at all times, biblically, and in terms of leadership, even in the secular world, as a leader, you are responsible for making things right. Now, people are going to mess up. People are going to fail you. People are not going to carry out their tasks. They're not going to get it done on time. Those things happen. But at the end of the day, you need to bless rather than blame. I do this often in my day. I'll say, okay, if I've had to be blunt and criticize somebody in a right kind of way to coach them to better behavior, I need to give out 5 blessings for every blunt criticism or blunt judgment that I make in the course of a day. And I learned when I do that, I keep my heart happy. I keep my joy well full. But if I'm not giving 5 blessings for every burden, I'm pretty soon going to become bitter. So unload blaming and increase blessing. Here's the 5th thing. Unload the twin cousins of insecurity and sensitivity. These are the kissing cousins that will keep your leadership at a lower level than you want it to be. Now, let me tell you this. Insecurity and sensitivity is not the same thing as fear. I mean, we're going to be afraid as a leader. That's just natural. We're going to be fearful at what is not happening and should be happening. We're going to be fearful and anxious about things that we want to happen but have not yet occurred. What I'm talking about is where you find your security in. Because one of the things you know as a leader, guys and gals, is that you got to have rhino skin to be a leader. I mean, in the biblical term is, our people are called sheep. but sheep bite. And sometimes they bite hard and they don't let go. So you've got to have the ability to let things bounce off of your spirit that do not want. I do this all the time. When somebody brings a criticism, or I'm not doing things that they think I should have done, or I didn't call them back in the time that they thought I should call them back, or they just don't agree with my leadership, I accept and hear what they're saying. But if it's not relevant to the vision that God has given me, if it's something that is not going to increase my leadership, if it's not something I need to correct in order to be a better leader, I hear that, and then it's like a boomerang. It's going to come back. It'll come back silently, but it'll come back. I don't let it stay in my spirit. I don't feed criticism. I don't nourish. I don't pour fertilizer on negativity. I let it go through me and all the way out of me and back out where it needs to be. Folks, I'm telling you this, guys, you're going to have to come to a place in leadership where you realize this is all about the destiny and assignment that God has given you. God has you where he has you because that's where he wants you. And until God says it's time for you to move, like he did with Abraham, get going. I'm not telling you where you're going, but get going. You need to stay where you are and allow God to use you. Even if it's not in the way that you think that you should be achieving, or even if it's far below your satisfaction factor, even if it's not up to the goals that you set for yourself, where you are, your assignment has been divinely given to you by God in the place where you are with the people that you're with, and it continues until God says stop. Well, let me give you this last one. Number 6, what needs to be unloaded off your leadership boat. Unload selfishness and put on selflessness. Ringo Starr once said, it ain't easy. One of these days I'm going to write a book called It Ain't Easy. Ministry, leading a business, being an executive of a nonprofit is never easy. Leadership is not for people that want a life of contentment and comfort and convenience. You cannot be, in fact, here's my definition of a leader. Leaders pay the price necessary to lead. When you're no longer paying that price, you're no longer the leader. Think about that for just a moment. And what do I mean by this closing statement? Selfishness and put on selfishness and take off selflessness. Or put on selflessness and give up selfishness. I'm going to get right here in just a moment. It's simply this. You've got to give up your need to be comfortable, to be convenient, to have things done for you the way you want them done. Because the judge of your work, the one that really matters most, is the one that you're going to stand before God one day and give an account for the way you led your ministry. You're not going to be evaluated by your deacon board or by your elder board or by the congregants in your church or by the staff at your business or by your coworkers at your nonprofit. Those people are not going to judge how you did and what you did. You're going to be solely judged by one person, and that's the one that created you. And therefore, every day I have to get up and take off selfishness and put back on selflessness, because this isn't about me. This isn't my church. This isn't my ministry. This is not my business. This is not my nonprofit. This isn't even my family. This isn't my home. It all belongs to God. And when I remember that and quit trying to be God, is when I become much more effective as a leader. So how do you apply all that? 3 things. Number 1, focus your mindset on where you're going, not where you've been. Keep a forward focus. Number 2, decide, what am I going to do today? What distraction will I remove in order to get done what I need to get done today? Who will I add to my team to get done what needs to be done? And then number 3, no excuses, just execution. Never excuse what you're supposed to execute. If God has called you to execute something, just as the Nike slogan says, just do it. And guys, when you do this, when you unload those 6 things, God can load up your ship again with the things that really matter. Hey, see you next week at Surge Leadership.